you wonderful people. I've had a crazy week for a multitude of reasons. Work has really gotten out of hand this week. My sister got married, and obviously that's a very big happy moment for my family. Congratulations goes out to my wonderful sister and my awesome new brother-in-law. The ceremony was very lovely. Excuse me, and yeah, so it's been, that was obviously a very happy occasion for my family. A bunch of other stuff happened. I stayed up till 1 in the morning watching the end of the World Series, which turned out to be worth it, but also led to a very bad work day because I was exhausted. So, yeah, I knew that was going to happen when I stayed up. And when we got the rain delay at the end, I was like, oh crap, do I want to stay up and finish watching this? But I'm glad I did, because that was a hell of a game and hell of a World Series. And obviously my congratulations go out to the Chicago Cubs. And my sympathies go out to the Cleveland Indians, but they played a hell of a series. That might be the greatest World Series I've ever watched, but excellent stuff all around there. Yeah, I also would like to point out I almost jinxed the Chicago Cubs when they pulled ahead 5-1. I posted a tweet saying something to the effect of, "Oh, it looks like the curse is over," and everybody's like, "No, don't say that, you're jinxing it." And then sure enough, the Cleveland Indians caught up and we went into extra innings. It was like, oh shit. So if the Cubs had lost that game, it might have been my fault, but they didn't, so we're good. But yeah, my car also broke down. That was also something I had to deal with this week. The fuel pump on my car broke, and I think it's time for me to get a new car. It's 2017. That's one of the things on my checklist. All right, get new car, because that's the last time I'm pouring money into fixing that yellow piece of shit I currently drive. But anyway, yeah. So I've had a crazy week, so that's why there was a delay in my video. I'm not going to do a full-fledged review of Hell in a Cell because I feel like we're a week removed from it, and like, yeah, I'm already behind on that point. I will say I didn't think much of the show. I thought it was, you know, it's all the problems that I said were going to be problems were pretty much there. But I do want to focus the video talking about the Charlotte Sasha main event to the pay-per-view, because everybody's has thrown their 2 cents in what they thought of it, whether or not it should have closed, whether or not the girls delivered, yada yada yada, all that other stuff. So I do want to throw my 2 cents in on that, and I think anybody who follows me on Twitter or have been watching my videos, my feelings on the matter probably won't shock them too much, but in any case, I want to throw my feelings out there anyway. But before I get into that, I do want to talk about Lucha Underground and a little thing that El Rey is doing that I just found out about 2 days ago, and the deadline for submission is 11:59 tonight, so I gotta get moving. But they're doing a contest where fans of Lucha Underground get to submit their fan art or their videos talking about the most important matches and episodes in Lucha Underground's history. The 5 episodes in particular that they picked were Grave Consequences, the first Trios title match, Ultima Lucha 1, or Uno, I guess we could call it, Aztec Warfare 2, and the No Mas match between Sexy Star and Mariposa. And they're asking for submissions for videos talking about why those matches mattered and why those matches were so special and why those episodes were so important or whatever. And the winning submissions will be aired on El Rey Network during a Lucha Underground marathon later in the month. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll do that. I mean, I have no problem talking about Lucha Underground and why their shit is cool. I love Lucha Underground, so of course. I was like, yeah, I'll throw my submissions in there. So, last time you saw me, I posted 3 videos in one day. Today, you're going to get 6 because I'm going to submit 1 video for each episode. And I'm going to submit those videos to El Rey Network to possibly be aired during their Lucha Underground marathon. No guarantees or anything, obviously, but it'd be fun to do, and I don't have any problem promoting Lucha Underground anyway. So you'll be getting 6 videos from me today. But the Lucha Underground video should be pretty quick, so I think I can get that done. No problems. We can do it. I'm pretty sure I can do it. But anyway, so if you see a shitload of Lucha Underground videos get posted from my channel today, that's why. So, be on the lookout for those. And I'll even post a link down below. It's you know, the rules of submission and all that other stuff, just so you all know I'm not crazy. But in any case, just wanted to throw that out there. You're going to be getting a bunch of Lucha Underground videos from me today. Also, attached to this video will be my top 10 favorite matches for the month of October. I've got to throw that out there, too. So, I'm a week into November. I haven't done my top 10 matches yet. So, with all that said, let's get started. So, Charlotte and Sasha at Hell in a Cell. A lot of people have commented on it. I listened to Dave Meltzer's comments where he felt like the match didn't deliver and shouldn't have closed, and felt like, you know, it's going to be harmful to women's wrestling in the long run because the women didn't deliver in the big spot of the main event. I've heard other people praise the match and say it was really good. You know, opinions on the thing are all across the board. Personally, for me, it was the main event of a pay-per-view that was kind of weak sauce. People have been comparing it to the Seth Rollins-Kevin Owens Hell in a Cell match and saying that that match should have closed instead. Personal opinion, I've said it before, there should have only been one Hell in a Cell match on this card. And I feel like whichever match closed, whether it was Rollins and Owens or if it was Sasha and Charlotte, doesn't matter. Either match would have struggled with that same problem, having to be on a show with two other Hell in a Cell matches, which is just absurd. My personal opinion on the Seth Rollins Kevin Owens match, which everybody seemed to like, honestly, I would have liked it if it wasn't a Hell in a Cell match, but the fact that it was a Hell in a Cell match just kind of annoyed me because Jericho was able to get inside the cell for the, like, what felt like the last 10 minutes of the match and interfere and cause all that shit, and I'm just like, that kind of defeats the purpose of Hell in a Cell. I mean, I don't know, like, did this need to be Hell in a Cell? I don't know. It just bugged me, and it's like, if Jericho was just going to be in the cell for most of the match anyway, they might as well just made it a triple threat, like they teased they were going to do a couple weeks ago on Raw. Might as well have just done that, because that would have made it a little less annoying and it wouldn't have tarnished the gimmick in any way. I mean, yeah, I know the first Hell in a Cell match had Kane ripping the door off, but Kane ripped the door off. It's not like he snuck inside the cell and then lingered there for 10 minutes. He ripped the door off, did his damage, then left. And, you know, typically with cage matches of any kind, whenever there's outside interference, I just kind of roll my eyes, because that just defeats the purpose of a steel cage match, or Hell in a Cell, or Elimination Chamber, or 6 Sides of Steel, or whatever. And going back to my earlier point about there being too many Hell in a Cells on the card, when you have so many Hell in a Cells, and 3 is too many, I would even say 2 is too many, there shouldn't be more than 1. When you have the same type of gimmick match multiple times on a pay-per-view, it just becomes repetitive, and it devalues the gimmick, and it makes it feel less special. I'll use Ring of Honor as an example. They rarely do fights without honors. That's kind of their big, like, last step, last resort feud ender whenever they do that. And they only do 1 a year, if that, like maybe 1 or 2. Hell in a Cell, they'd already done 1 this year at WrestleMania, and now we're doing 3 at this pay-per-view. So really, it's like, who cares? Like, it doesn't, if you keep giving me the super cool thing all the time, then it's no longer super cool. It's just, it's like giving me Christmas every day. It's like, yeah, I mean, Christmas is special because it only happens once a year. Hell in a Cell used to be special because they would only save it for special occasions for feuds that really deserved it. Now they just do it whenever it tickles their fancy, and it's, oh, we got a pay-per-view to sell, so let's just do that. And I don't mind billing a pay-per-view around a specific gimmick match. I mean, Royal Rumble does that, Fall Brawl did that. That's fine, but even then, it's like, it's once a year. And it's not like the Royal Rumble. It's like, all right, we're going to do 3 Royal Rumbles. Or Fall Brawl, we're going to do 3 War Games matches. I'm like, no, it wasn't like that. They kept it as special as possible to make it mean as much as possible. And to make you want to see it. That's not what they do here with gimmick matches. Not that much anymore, anyway. The Hell in a Cell pay-per-view just didn't work for me, largely because of that. And like I said, it wouldn't have mattered which cell match closed because you would have run into problems anyway. But my thought on the Charlotte-Sasha match itself, again, it was hindered by the fact that it had to follow 2 other Hell in a Cell matches, but it was also, it was clearly a match that they were going for great and stupendous, and it only came off as good, and that there's a certain level of disappointment that comes along with that. Again, I'm not saying it was bad. I thought the girls did the best they could under the circumstances, and some shit went wrong, like the tables not cooperating, which cost them a couple of spots. It actually damaged the finish, because Sasha didn't break through the table. It was kind of like, it led to kind of an anticlimactic finish. And then you got that spot earlier where clearly Sasha was going to jump off the top and crush Charlotte through the table, but the table broke too early, so it kind of cost them a high spot there. So a bunch of stuff like that went wrong. But overall, I thought the effort was very good. I actually really liked the beginning that they did with Charlotte powerbombing her through the announce table before the match even started and almost getting a forfeiture that way. I thought that was actually pretty well done. And I liked that stuff. I liked most of the action that Charlotte actually had to battle through her injury throughout most of the match. That was something that kind of bothered me about Seth and Kevin Owens. It was they did the whole bit on Raw where Seth got powerbombed on the apron, and that should have been his out to lose. That should have been, it's like, all right, that's his out to lose. But they had to throw Jericho in there, and they had to throw all this other shit in there, and it's like, so the powerbomb spot was really pointless. It didn't really play into the drama at all. So Charlotte and Sasha did a better job of utilizing the injury aspect of it. And I don't want to sound like I'm like a rah feminist type and then I'm dissing on the other match just to make the other match look better. I'm just giving my honest opinions about it. It's like, because I saw some people do that with like the new Ghostbusters movie where it's like, well, the original one wasn't that good. I'm like, the original one's one of the best movies ever made. Go fuck yourself. And this movie's a piece of shit. It's a bland, boring, unnecessary piece of shit. So it's like, I don't have a horse in the race in any kind of political sense. It's like, all right, you want the girls to main event, that's fine, but it has to be good. And you gotta do it right. Honestly, I stand by my original idea. They should have closed with Rusev and Roman. It was like, give me the match that I care the least about, so that, so that I could turn the pay-per-view off at the end and we would have been fine. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't a bad match. I thought it was good for what it was. It was probably my favorite part of what was an otherwise pretty lifeless pay-per-view, but it was, it needed to be better than it was, and I think it being the only Hell in a Cell match would have helped with that. And I also think, if the table spots hadn't gone wrong and a couple of other things hadn't gone wrong, it would have been much better received. But they had to do 3 Hell in a Cell matches for whatever reason, and, a couple of unfortunate breaks like the tables kind of took away from it. So, was it a one-of-a-kind classic match of the year type of match? No, but it wasn't a bad main event either. I mean, it's the type of match that, like, I've seen standard main events from the guys many times, and it was probably better than standard, but again, it was not that great home run grand slam that they were going for. So, but again, the effort was there, and I completely understand that and accept it. So, I don't have a problem with the girls main eventing. I don't have a problem with them doing it again at some point. It's just, next time you do it, just make sure you do everything right. Like, not have them follow 2 Hell in a Cell matches. That might help. But in any case, those are my thoughts on the Charlotte-Sasha match. And with that, let's go into my top 10 favorite matches for the month of October 2016. Put on the old Spectaroonies. And let's read the list that I put up together. That is not my list. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay. Alright, first of all, brand of the month. My favorite wrestling show of the month is going to go to Lucha Underground Season 3. It's been great since it came back, and I love it. And it's still my favorite wrestling show week to week. Lucha Underground, to the surprise of absolutely no one. Alright, number 10, Lashley defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against EC3 in the main event from Bound for Glory. For all the bad things that I could say about TNA and for all the drama currently going on there with who's in charge of the company and who's suing who and what the hell's going on there, Bound for Glory was actually not a terrible show, and the main event was pretty solid. It was Lashley taking on EC3, although they rendered it meaningless by just having Eddie Edwards beat Lashley the next week on Impact for free, but this main event was still pretty good. Number 9, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the women's title on the October 3rd episode of Raw. This is the match where Sasha won the women's title from Charlotte. And then number 8 on my list is the Hell in a Cell match they would have later that same month. So, while I don't think the women's division on the main roster has quite matched the quality of, say, the NXT matches or some of the other women's matches out there, like the Sexy Star Mariposa match or various other things, they have done better than the women's division has been in recent years. So there, with talents like Charlotte and Sasha come higher expectations. So when something like the Hell in a Cell match doesn't quite live up to that 4-star, 5-star quality, there's some level of disappointment there. But the matches are still pretty good, and I think they're doing well. One thing I wish they would change is with Sasha's character. I really do not like her being the underdog type of character. To me, she should be a little bit more fierce, a little bit more nasty, but I've already brought that up. But anyway, 2 good matches from 2 really good talents. Number 7, Prince Puma versus Mil Muertes from the, what was that, October 19th episode of Lucha Underground. Not as good as their Ultima Lucha match from way back in season 1, but still a really good, really exciting match that continues the feud. And actually, we're getting Grave Consequences next week, which is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, another strong match from these 2 iconic characters from Lucha Underground. Number 6, AJ Styles defending the WWE Championship against John Cena and Dean Ambrose for the what was this? This was their triple threat match at No Mercy 2016. They actually opened up the show, which was a kind of an, I would say a daring decision, kind of like what Hell in a Cell did. It's, they decided not to close with the world title match and close with something potentially bigger. That's fine. The problem with doing it this is that they chose Orton and Bray to be the closer, which I don't think anybody cared about that match, but whatever. I mean, I'll actually, number 1 on my list is the one that I felt should have closed. But, yeah, for an opening match and for a demoted spot for the world title match, it actually turned out pretty well and was a nice, exciting triple threat opener, so no complaints. Number 5, Texano Jr. versus Cage in match 3 of their best of 5 series from the October 26th episode of Lucha Underground. They've been doing the best of 5 series for the last few weeks, Texano and Cage, and it's been for another one of Dario Cueto's unique opportunities. And we found out right before this match in one of their great cinematic cutscenes what the unique opportunity is. Apparently, both of them are competing to decide who will become the host body of an ancient Aztec god. And I'm like, oh, damn. I don't think they want to win that, but they don't know what they're fighting for. So it's like, oh, man. And that's the great thing about Lucha Underground, is that they can do over-the-top and crazy things like that and have us just kind of buy it. They commit to their universe so well that we just sort of accept all this insanity and otherworldly qualities that the show has. But Texano and Cage, their first 2 matches were all right. This one was way cooler and much better, and just a nice, hard-hitting power match. I mean, I kind of knew that Texano was going to win because Cage won the first 2 matches, so it's kind of like, yeah, you kind of know where this is going. But still, I think this is the best match they've had so far. And now that we know what they're fighting over and the stakes have been raised, it's like, okay, it's a lot more interesting now. It's like, I wonder who's going to wind up winning this thing and ultimately become the big loser by having their soul possessed by an ancient god. So, more to come from that end, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Number 4, Decay defending the TNA Tag Team Championships against Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero in the Great War from Bound for Glory 2016. Great appropriate match for Halloween with these 4 nut jobs walking around. But with all the talk of bad things going on in TNA and the, whether or not they're going to make it to 2017, quite honestly, they will. It's amazing how that company has still survived. I don't even know what to say about it. But, this year alone, the Broken Matt Hardy stuff and the final deletion and all that other stuff, for as weird as it is and as crazy as it is, it's the only thing that TNA's really done this year that has generated any kind of intrigue or interest in the product. And both characters, Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero, they got over, and they had a really kick-ass entrance at Bound for Glory too, with Rebby playing the piano and the crowd kind of just going along with it every step of the way. And this match, if you like the final deletion, you'll probably like this match. You got some of the TLC stuff in the ring, and then they went backstage and did all the crazy final deletion stuff that you expect out of Broken Matt Hardy, and it was it was crazy, it was insane, it was a lot of fun, and if you're into that type of stuff, this match was really good, and the best part of this year's Bound for Glory by far. And in many ways, the best part of TNA in 2016 by far. Number 3, Fenix versus Drago versus AeroStar in a triple threat match. The winner gets the number 20 spot in Aztec Warfare, and the 2 losers get eliminated from Aztec Warfare entirely. This was from the October 19th episode of Lucha Underground. Outstanding triple threat match with a lot on the line. Aztec Warfare has become a huge deal with Lucha Underground. The 3rd one's coming up. Really excited for it. And this match was Dario's little idea to have the 3 trios champions fight each other to determine who's actually going to be in the Aztec Warfare match. And they had the type of crazy, action-packed lucha match you would expect them to have. But with those stakes involved, it really felt like, oh man, I kind of don't want anybody to win or lose because I want all 3 of these guys to be in the match. So, no matter who won, it was going to be kind of bittersweet. Drago ended up winning, and now that means that AeroStar and Fenix are not in Aztec Warfare, which is like, you can't imagine, especially Fenix, you can't imagine Fenix not being in there, even though Dario made a joke about it, that Fenix always gets screwed in Aztec Warfare because he always winds up being number 1. He had at the previous 2. And, but yeah, I thought these 3 had an outstanding match together, and it was great, and it was wonderful, and had major implications for a huge event that's upcoming for Lucha Underground, so I'm super excited to see how Aztec Warfare 3 plays out. Number 2, another Lucha Underground match, shocker. The Monster Matanza Cueto versus Prince Puma for the Lucha Underground title. This was from the October 5th episode of Lucha Underground. Yeah, with Dario's Dial of Doom, and which has been a great part of the show lately, and determining challengers for Matanza. Matanza finally squared off one-on-one with Prince Puma, who's kind of the premier champion. He was the original Lucha Underground champion, the premier babyface of Lucha Underground, and this was a big match and really felt like a big deal because of that, and it was outstanding. It was just a great match. I mean, Puma seems to work well with just about anybody he's in there with, and Matanza is such a powerhouse and such a seemingly unbeatable character that anybody you put him in the ring with, it's going to get a reaction, whether it's a squash match or it's a competitive match like this one was. But it worked out very, very well. I was very happy with it. Matanza won, obviously, and then Puma was allowed to go on and continue his feud with Muertes. But for this one title match, I thought it was excellent and very good. And again, I was very happy to see it. I really like Lucha Underground. Can you tell? But my number 1 match of the month of October 2016 is from No Mercy 2016. The Miz defending the Intercontinental Championship against Dolph Ziggler in a match where Ziggler put his career on the line. This is the match that should have closed No Mercy. I mean, it's very rarely these days in the WWE are they able to quite do something like this, especially at the mid-card level, like the Intercontinental title, U.S. title level, where they really get you to invest in what you're seeing. And, I mean, just for a basis for comparison, look at what's going on with the U.S. title right now, or what's been going on Raw, and the Roman Reigns-Rusev stuff. Nobody gave a shit. I mean, just nobody cared. They threw Hell in a Cell on there just to trick people into thinking that they should care, when really it didn't really matter and nobody really gave a shit anyway. But this match, they put Ziggler on the path to, it's like he wants to get that one big win. He's always been on the outside looking in. He's always had all the potential, but never really quite achieved much in the way of greatness, and he wants that one big win. So they treated the title victory like a big deal. They built up Miz's heat long enough to where you want to see him get beat for the Intercontinental title, so this didn't feel like, oh, he's been champion for 2 weeks and now they're just doing this. They'd actually put a lot into Miz as a character, and he's had a bit of a resurgence this year, I think. So when you put all those elements together and you raise the stakes by having Ziggler put his career on the line, it became the most interesting match on the show with the best build-up on the show, and that was the match that I wanted to see, just because I wanted to see how it would play out, and if Ziggler lost, how emotional it would be, and if Ziggler won, how awesome it would be, and all that other stuff. The stuff that really should matter with pro wrestling, and not so much, you know, that star rating formula that Meltzer applies, where, you know, it's all about the moves that you do and the false finishes and all that other stuff. I'm like, not really. It's about telling that story and providing the context. I mean, case in point, look at the Cruiserweight division right now in Raw. Okay, look at the cruiserweights on the CWC and then look at them on Raw, and it's like night and day. Why did I care on that show and I don't care on this show? It's like, well, because in the CWC they gave me context to who these people were and they gave me a reason to care. On Raw, it's just guys doing flips, so I don't care. And that's the main difference, and that's, what they did in the CWC is what should be strived for and what should be kind of the template, and not so much just going for action for the sake of action. And here, Miz and Ziggler had a very good, very dramatic match, I thought. And every time Ziggler had his shoulders to the mat, it was tense and it was dramatic because you didn't want him to lose. And when he won, it felt like a huge deal. And to me, it kind of felt like the pay-per-view was over after that because I didn't give a shit about Orton and Bray. So I do feel like this should have been the closer to the show. And I thought everybody involved did a terrific job. Miz played his part well. And like I said, they've done really well with him this year, ever since he won the IC title. And Ziggler played the sympathetic babyface to perfection, to where you wanted to see him win. So it was just win-win all around. Ziggler got the big win, so it was very satisfying. And it was my favorite match of the month. So kudos to the WWE for pulling that one off. But yeah, that's the end of this particular video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Next up, later today, I'm going to be posting my Lucha Underground videos to submit to the El Rey Network, so you'll be seeing those pop up. There'll be 5 of them, and I'm going to submit those to El Rey Network, and maybe you'll be seeing me pop up on Lucha Underground Marathon in a couple weeks, so we shall see. But in any case, I just like talking about Lucha Underground, so that's really what these videos are to me. It's like, yay, I get to talk about all the good stuff that Lucha Underground has done, which is awesome. So that is all I have for now. Yeah, y'all enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all later.